Live from the KC Property Guys and KC Pier Studio in beautiful Kansas City. Home to over 200 fountains and more barbecue restaurants per capita than anywhere in the nation. It's the Kansas City Real Estate Industry Leaders Show, a show about industry leaders from the local Kansas City metro market for Kansas City real estate related professionals and enthusiasts like you. And now, here's your hosts, Eric and Lucas Scheele.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Lucas Scheele, and welcome back to the Kansas City Real Estate Industry Leaders Podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Eric Scheele, as well as Rex Rodenbaugh with KC Investor Funding. So, Eric, you want to just stop it off right now?
Yeah, you bet. So it's great to have you in studio, Rex.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
Thank
fantastic. You. So what we do on a weekly basis, we talk about this, is we actually have three kind of podcasts in one. We bring in real estate industry leaders, such as yourself, from all types of industries, from home services to lending, specifically with you today, to realtors, to anything related to real estate. We're investors at the end of the day, right?
Right.
So we talk investments and we talk to people that are related to that field. It's a lot of fun. We also do some KC Property Guys podcasting where we specifically talk about our industry, which you're a part of as well. So we're probably going to touch upon that today, which would be great. And then we also do some things, of course, with KC Pier. And so we have segments that we do. So today we actually get to have a real estate industry leader with Rex and KC Investor Funding, right? It's an alternative funding source for investors, right? And so it's great to have you in the studio today.
Thank you very much.
So what we normally talk about and start is what's the elevator pitch? What's your background? How'd this all get started? Because you are successful. I mean, you run a really good, you have a very good following in terms of investor funding, and you have a nice funding backing. Of course, we've actually have some relationships together in terms of KC Property Guys as well.
Exactly.
And so you kind of seen what we do, and we have a really nice relationship, which is one of the reasons why you're in studio, and it's great to have you in. But for those that aren't familiar with you, what's the background? What's the 1 minute kind of pitch of what you do and where you came from?
A 1 minute pitch. Well, I moved to Kansas City in 2012.
Right on.
That's really when I got started into real estate flipping. Prior to, I was actually finance manager for a boat dealership.
Well,
so that's kind of where
you don't want to be in real estate before 2012.
Right.
Everybody's there's a crash
maybe
happening,
a couple
right?
years before that. But,
yeah, maybe. But yeah, absolutely. Okay, 2012.
So I was a finance manager for a boat dealership.
Right on.
From 04 through 08. And that's really where I got my flavor for finance and working with numbers.
And lending, finance,
Yeah.
absolutely, through boats.
Yeah.
We're at the Ozarks,
Lake
correct?
of the Ozarks.
Lake
correct.
of the Ozarks. So we're talking the big 30, 40, 50-foot boats that are, I could see it. So now we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, correct?
Right.
In terms of some of that finance, and that rolls over and lends itself really well with real estate.
Yeah. So in 2012, when I started flipping homes, I was raising capital through private investors. I was using hard money. So I really understood working with investors. I was physically slinging the hammer, doing all that stuff on my own projects.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then, so we did about 15 projects between 2012 and 2015.
Okay.
And then that's when I realized I want to get in the finance game.
Okay.
And started what was Hard Money Lenders of Kansas City at the time.
Okay.
And in 2016, acquired a domain name, kcinvestorfunding.com,
Gotcha.
which is where KC Investor Funding got started.
Okay.
Cool.
So that's really where I'm at.
Absolutely. So there's a background of obviously finance, which lends itself to the lending, as we mentioned. There's also a flipping background, is what I'm hearing. So you're a real estate investor guy, right?
I am.
Playing that.
Yeah, I try to practice what I preach.
Yeah, practice what you preach. You've been there. You've slung the hammers, and now you've gotten to the point where you've scaled. And so you have this lending business. You also have a fix and flip business, running contractors, much like what we do with KC Property Guys. It's a big ocean out there.
It's probably not as a well-oiled machine as yours, but it's in the process.
But that's okay, right? Yeah, right. And but everybody can call themselves an investor. I talk about that all the time, whether you do 1 house, 2 house, 10 house, 15 or 50, 72, whatever it may be.
Right.
Right? You are definitely an investor, and so that gives us a lot of commonalities, and so it's helped you better understand, at least me from an investor standpoint from KC Property Guys. And that's one thing I recognized quickly is you got it. You understood it. You understand the game. You understand the needs. You actually take care of me as an investor to make sure that I can continue to scale and you've seen a lot of the scaling that we've been doing on KC Property Guys. And that's been appreciated. And that's one of the reasons why you're in here is because you are really a real estate industry leader in terms of lending, in my opinion, with KC Investor Funding. So that background has paid off well.
Thank
right?
you.
And it's for anybody that's in real estate, people that are listening, reading, and watching. It's a love, right? It's a passion.
It is,
and that's why we're here. We enjoy talking to people and talking real estate.
Sure.
And I know this. You haven't mentioned it yet, but I'm going to throw it out there. I know you're a realtor as well, right?
I am.
So yeah, you're knee deep. In fact, you're waist deep. You might be chest deep. You're in it, man.
I'm all in, man.
Yeah, right on. You're lending, right? You're fixing and flipping.
Yeah.
You can sell those properties at the end of the game, right? And I assume that you became a realtor probably much like the reasons why I started KC Piers, because you got tired of paying realtors.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? You wanted to save that 3% and be able to negotiate that at the end.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I got tired of paying peer guys and waiting for somebody to do it right.
Right.
And you didn't like a realtor not doing your house right and getting it ready to then do the next flip, right?
Exactly.
And so absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. It's great to have you in.
Thank you.
And ever since 2012, you've been kind of developing this game.
I have, and I'm still working on it. So
right. Okay. So the bulk of your lending, I assume, services the Kansas City area.
It does. So I have two different sources of capital. One's private investor capital, and that primarily funds the short-term rehab or bridge loans in the Kansas City market that we do. Mm-hmm. And then I also have some institutional capital where I can go nationwide. And then also have some long-term financing as well. The
lending that you're doing is all for investors local, or you're lending outside of Kansas City as well?
I'm lending outside of Kansas City as well, but I would say about 65% of my business is the Kansas City market.
Oh, I would actually have thought it would have been higher. That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
And so those lending sources are local as well as national.
Yep.
That's fantastic. So you've built this business, right? And you've built a side business with fixing and flipping, and you got the realtor to back up there. So we ask everybody this: what are some unique skills that you feel like have kind of helped plod you along the path of building yourself to the point where you are today?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Well, you have to have it's a labor of love. I know that for sure. Right? I mean, you obviously have a passion for what you do. You take pride in what you do. And when you take passion and pride, it tends to self-motivate.
Yes.
Right? And let's talk about a common thread, Luke, of people that we bring in here. They are self-motivated.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And there's something inside there that their internal flame is always burning. Right? And we always try to put a finger on it of what that might be, but there is an internal flame in entrepreneurs. Whether it's a passion for people or a passion for perfection or a passion for monetary gains or a passion or something inside them.
Or a multitude of passions,
right, that are driving them, right? So you've never been asked that question before, huh? Never really taken the time to thought about it, right?
Not really.
Anything I mentioned come to mind?
I mean, of course.
Did I touch upon something?
Of course.
Yeah, there's some common threads there.
I mean, yeah, it's the desire to succeed. I love what I do. I love working with numbers. I love
Isn't it fun to wake up? And a lot of people don't get this. Like, you're lucky, because a lot of people wake up and they dread going to work.
Oh yeah.
And you don't have that. And I know this for a fact. Now, I'm an early guy. I'm a 4 a.m. guy. And there is one person.
I am not.
Yeah, I know you're not. But you need to hear this. At 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., I can send off an email, and I'm going to get a reply from this guy right here. Right? And he's the only guy in Kansas City that I will get a reply from.
That's fun.
Right? He's an early guy.
Yeah.
And that's that internal flame. So I'll say this, and maybe this will spark something in you. That people that have internal flames usually have some failure that they're trying to avoid. They have something in their past that they just don't want to go back to.
Right.
So there has to be, Is there something that's like, okay, well, maybe you're right. You're touching upon something. Maybe you don't even want to talk about it, and we move on. But is there something that relates to that helps drive that passion in you?
Yeah. I mean, so one thing about me is I'm an open book. In 2008, I lost my job as a finance manager at Lake of the Ozarks because people stopped buying big boats.
Well,
so
yeah.
they had
Real estate.
Not really a need for me.
Real estate crash,
So,
right?
yeah.
Real estate crash happens in 2008. The last thing you want to do and need is an extra boat. Now you're trying to scrap
right.
and save your job and your house.
Yeah. So one thing, I
So there
was
goes
relying on
Rex.
one source of income,
Yeah.
which after that happened, yeah, I ended up going through bankruptcy and foreclosure in 2008.
There you go. And you
after that-
weren't alone.
No.
No.
There was a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Millions.
affected everybody.
Millions.
In fact, it's
of
a common
people.
conversation I have with people that call me about financing is, well, I had this issue back in 2008.
Yeah, they're coming for alternative solutions because they can't get traditional. So obviously there's a common background that actually would really feed your business. You can relate to these people.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
kind of goes back to the professional relationship as well of what we do, and we have that kind of relationship. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey had a bankruptcy and foreclosure. You know, that's a highly successful guy that manages money as well. I mean, that's what comes
Sure.
to mind right off the bat. And so absolutely those failures can be huge. You know, we talk about the mentality of industry leaders and business owners, and typically a lot of people spur off of their rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that was your rock. It had to be your rock bottom. You were married at the time?
I was not married at the time,
Not
which
married.
was another one of my issues that I had.
Okay.
I was living a bachelor lifestyle.
Okay. Yeah, right on.
You know,
Absolutely.
spending way too much money. But that's something that I never want to go back to. I told myself I'd never want to rely on one source of income,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
which that's always in the back of my mind.
Okay.
Just
So
having multiple
there's
streams
the
of income.
lending, there's the realtor, there's the fix
Exactly.
and flip, there's
Yeah.
stability and redundancy and multiplicity. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so when I went through that, metaphorically, I was thinking, gosh, I built my house on sand, and now I want to
Yeah.
rebuild on stone.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
That's how I looked at it.
Yeah, makes a ton of
So
sense.
rebuilt everything, started from scratch, and I'm like, this is a new opportunity at life.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right.
Definitely.
And yeah,
We talk about that a lot too. Life choices where you're given an A or B. You're given a left or a right. Which way? You're going to look at it half full or half empty. What is it? Right? Is it lemons or is it lemonade?
Mhm.
You know, there's lots of ways to talk about that.
Sure.
Right? So you either take what you're given. Dude, I'm single. I've overspent. I'm bankrupt. I just lost my house. The world is a black hole. Or it's like, okay, man, I got to scrap it up, toughen up, learn from it, and let's make something of this. This could be a great, and you don't think this at the time, but I guarantee you could probably look back and like, gosh, you know that, where would I be if I hadn't gone through that?
right.
You'd still be pushing boats and living a bachelor life, you know, and is that the passion that you have for what you're doing today? Most likely not.
No, not at all.
And people don't necessarily realize that is bottoming out is a life-changing positive event when you take it in the right mindset. It's absolutely so true. And if you talk to life coaches or people that you consider mentors, they have that common theme in them. That you have two ways to look at things. You can either look at it negatively or look at it positively. You have the choice, right, to interpret it as you wish,
Exactly.
Yeah.
right? And people that are achievers tend to be optimists.
And I had those negative thoughts for a short period of time, but then I was like, this is an opportunity for me,
Yeah,
and
it's a progression,
yeah.
Just started.
huh?
Just started it up from there. You Know?
Absolutely.
Have to cover all the bases, you know, especially when you're running a very successful business as you are right now, you know, especially with being the realtor. You have all the bases covered, so you don't have to rely on other people.
I would make a horrible employee. I'll put it that way.
right, and that's true of most entrepreneurs. They don't. They would rather lead and fail than follow and succeed. And so that's a really, really great touching point. 2 or 3 people that have influenced you along the way. There had to be some people that you've looked up to that's helped you kind of get to where you are today.
Yeah, the first one would be my dad. So
we hear that a lot, by the way.
Really?
We
Okay.
really do. Yeah. So a parent, father figure. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great to hear.
He was able to figure out he can do anything. You know, if he can work on a car, fix a car, he could work on a house and fix a house. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, and completely look up to him for that. His work ethic was strong, and I think that's where I get my work ethic from, is him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been a very influential person in my life. And then my wife, are you familiar with the 5 love languages? So
5 leveling.
I haven't heard of that.
5 love languages.
Oh,
Yeah.
5 love languages.
So
yes.
my wife,
I don't know them intimately.
My wife is a therapist. So
Okay. Oh,
I get free
okay.
counseling.
There you go. That's a plus.
Excellent. Yeah. Keeps you grounded.
But so this is something that I learned. We find out what our love language is.
Okay.
So mine is words of affirmation.
Okay.
So there's like words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Physical touch, quality time. Can't think of the others.
Yeah.
But
you know yours.
words.
And you probably know hers.
Words of affirmation are mine. Quality
Yeah.
time is hers.
Okay, there you go.
But she's very good at encouraging me, and she believes in me. And I couldn't be where I am today without her.
You build people up, you don't knock them down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so she's probably pretty good at building you up.
So those are the 2 most influential. I mean, number 3 is that there's a number of people that are in number 3.
Okay, right on.
And they all fall into that words of affirmation that have just built me up over time.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we also talk about, in your business, you work with investors, and this is, we could go on and on about this. We'll try to keep this somewhat short, but it is super interesting, at least to anybody related to real estate in the investment world, especially newbie investors. I'm sure you see a lot of new investors, the HGTV guys that say, "Hey man, I want to get into this game," and
size
I
at the
see
courthouse.
it, I see it being done, and I want a part of this, and
Sure.
and they don't necessarily realize all of that, but you're having these probably initial conversations with a lot of these guys.
I do.
And you probably experience firsthand what we see as a repercussion of these guys entering the market. The phone calls that we get probably on a monthly basis of, "Hey, come buy my house. I started, I failed, and I need help." I mean,
Yeah.
I literally, anybody probably that's, has a presence and as an investor gets those phone calls. We get them on a monthly basis.
Sure.
So I'm guessing you get that quite a bit.
Oh, I do.
What do you see as failures in the business, whether it's from the lending side or even the investor side? I think probably let's talk about it from the investor side, because a lot of our listeners and watchers are would be or want to be or trying to be investors that you would probably have some great advice for them.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. The podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your likes, shares, and support. Now, back to the show.
Well, a lot of the people that are new getting into the business,
Yeah.
I think the first thing is that a lot of them don't end up taking action, or they get into it and they test it out a little bit, and they try to find a deal, and they can't find deals, and they get frustrated and they just give up.
Okay.
So I guess they don't really fail because they never started.
Finding, but
Gotcha.
we talk about that a lot on our KC Property Guys
Okay.
side and finding deals, and we've even talked about it with you, and you know this too as an investor, a
Yeah.
flipper. Finding deals is the key,
It is,
and
the
it's
most important
very
thing.
tough to do. So I can easily see what you're talking about. These guys just looking, and they find the realtor, and the MLS isn't producing, and all of a sudden it dries up. They're done.
Yeah. Now you take that another direction. The people that don't give up,
Yeah.
they keep looking for deals, and then they get frustrated and they lose their patience on trying to find the right deal.
Here we go. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they end up believing that they've got a good deal,
yeah.
even though they need to be buying it a lot less.
You make or break the deal
Exactly.
when you sell it or when you buy it.
When you buy it.
When you buy it.
That's right.
Every single time. You can get into a job and you can tear down the walls and find the termites.
So they just get overeager?
You
just
can
try to
get
jump right into the water?
They want to get their. So a comment that a lot of people will make is,
Yeah.
I don't really care how much money I make on this deal. I just want to get my feet wet.
Ouch.
Yeah. Like
Impatience.
Your first deal, I believe you have to have the biggest margins on there because you're going to have more unknowns. There's so many unexpected things that are going to happen in that first deal. And there's even unexpected things that happen in your
You get into you
15th
tear
deal.
down down the foundation wall, and all of a
Right.
sudden the crack shows up. You tear down the sheetrock, and the termites are there. You can absorb those types of things when you buy right.
Right.
It's critical, and impatience is the first precursor to a really bad day coming in your future, because you're going to get into that job and you're going to get yourself involved, and those first 2 or 3 contractors are going to come through, and you are out of money. And all of a sudden the realization of how you can sell this house is not what you thought it was just 2 months prior.
Gets a little bit more bleak.
And so how does that go from a lender standpoint when you get that phone call and saying, I think I overstepped my boundaries here, and what do I do? Is that what they're saying? What do I do? How can you help me? Save me?
Right.
Get me out of this deal? What are they? What? How's that go?
Well, if we don't get into that situation a whole lot with our current borrowers,
Good.
because we try to nip that in the bud in the beginning. So if
Great point.
especially if they say, I don't care how much money I make on this deal.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not.
Red flag.
We're not funding this deal.
Yeah.
No, and
It's
you
pretty
make a really good point though, which it probably leads to your success because you care about the person. You don't
Right.
care about the deal.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do that same thing on KC Property Guys. We care about the people. We try to treat people extremely equitably fair. And you're doing the same thing, which is fantastic here, because I get weekly phone calls from lenders from all over the nation, and they just simply are eager to give money away, but they're giving it away at just stupid rates.
Right.
25, 28, cabbage, 42% that are backed by SEO, internet investors, and it's a game that, as a would-be investor,
Right.
looking for anything, they're going to take it, and now they've set themselves up poorly financially on the back end, and they still haven't acquired a property yet, which on their impatience, they're about to buy bad too. It's like a double negative. I mean, this thing is coming for it. It's a train wreck.
Yeah.
So
So
mentioning
you avoid that through pre-consultation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the most important thing is we want, if somebody's coming to us for funding, we want their deal to be successful for them.
Right.
And it is partially selfish because we don't want we want them to have a
Totally.
good deal so they see the deal through fruition.
Yeah.
And
Guess what?
we
They're
can
going
close
to
the
do
deal.
another one.
So that's another thing. We're not in the business of taking back properties. That's the last thing that we want to do. We just want to put money out there,
Yep.
own it, and get our money back.
Right.
We want people to succeed. We want to give them opportunities to do deals and do multiple deals at one time.
deals.
Once they've got one deal at a time down, then they can move to 2 and 3 and so on.
Yeah. Okay.
But the
Easy now.
The idea, the idea behind our business is just to create that opportunity and to help people be successful.
Well, consulting is great. And I'm really, really glad to hear that, because ultimately, if you're a one-trick pony, that's all you're going to be, is a one-trick pony. The investor is going to be a one-trick pony. You don't get a return investment. It's actually risky investment on your side as well.
Exactly.
So that's great to hear. You ready for actually, before we do KC3, any advice to people starting out the business? You know,
Definitely.
anybody that so you've kind of touched upon that in terms of the investor.
Right.
From a lending perspective, if we have any lenders, you want to give away some competitive secrets, or should we bypass that? We get straight into KC3. We have a quick 3 about Kansas City if you want to jump into that.
Well, I don't mind sharing information. Man, getting into the lending business.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting into the lending
You
business.
just advise the investor, right? Hey, be patient. That's what I hear. Be patient.
Definitely.
Be careful. I'm going to help consult you. This is what I'm hearing from you, right? To make sure that you buy right and that you come back and we can lend again. We can do this again. But from a lending perspective, right? Anybody that's hey man, I'm in the fix and flip game, but I'd like to add some little recs to me. Maybe I want to do a little bit of private lending. I'm starting to take that next step. You got into fix and flip through lending, right? Some other of these fix and flippers are like, man, the properties are getting hard to find. Maybe I should get into lending. Any advice for those guys?
Well, actually, I got into lending from the fix and flip. From not find, I got frustrated with finding deals, and I was like, I want to figure out a way.
So you are that guy.
I want to figure out how I can join forces with people, and I'll make a little money on more deals versus trying to make a big lump of money on.
You got to have a common circle of other lenders that you know. Obviously, and you probably have private lending customers that might want to try to do the private lending on themselves, but are going under your expertise. Right.
Well, I mean, so if somebody's trying to get into the lending business, at least in my space, where they're wanting to lend on fix and flips and short-term rehab loans, they really need to understand the ins and outs of every. So the borrower, they have to understand the borrower, and what their experience is. They have to understand the vantage point of every single person involved in the deal. And they have to know, there's just so many things that they need to understand, and they probably need to have their hands-on experience.
Fair enough. Knowledge is power, and if you're not knowledgeable, don't get into the game.
And that's why I got started in fix and flips and slinging the hammer, was because those first few projects that I did pretty much all the work myself. Other than like the licensed trades and stuff. But I said, if I get in there and I'm slinging the hammer and I'm doing all the work, I'm starting to see what things are wrong with a house.
Yeah, you bet.
And then also I'm able to understand what it costs to fix those things too.
Right on.
And I mean, just understanding that, and understanding when I'm dealing with a lender from a borrower standpoint.
Right.
I know what frustrates me.
You do know you
and
do have
what
to know
goes
it
well
inside
and
out.
what doesn't go well.
Absolutely, and that does project. And I kind of look back to some of our dealings, and absolutely that's projected through. So knowing the ins and outs of that deal has helped you relate.
Doing your homework, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Ready for some KC Quick 3? We asked 3 questions, right?
Okay.
All about Kansas City. We're KC property guys. We actually have KC Investor Funding, 2 KCs,
right,
along with KC Peer.
Pride in here.
Right, we got it. So this fits perfect. So, you a foodie?
I am.
Oh, nice. Most people are. So we collect a lot of this information, and so through 2 or 3. What's your favorites? And don't tell us the run of the mill. I like Olive Garden, but we're not talking Olive Garden. We're not cheese. No offense to Cheesecake Factory. No offense, because I like Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, right.
But we want to know the nooks and crannies. You lend. You lend all over Kansas City. You visit these houses you lend to. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so this is good.
Got to be everywhere.
He's everywhere, and you're lending over lunch, and you got to find. You're like, hey man, I got to try this place. Yeah.
Well, so if there's any Mexican food anywhere, I'll eat Mexican food anytime, anywhere.
I'm the same way.
Name number 1.
Oh gosh, a Mexican place.
You called it.
Man, where do I go? I go to all of them.
Okay.
I can't. I mean, I'm a steak guy too.
Is there a certain area? Kansas City, Kansas. Is it? I mean, is it better than Lenexa, or are they just all kind of good?
It's all good to me.
Okay. Okay. Let's get a name out of you. A restaurant. Name one of them. It doesn't even have to be Mexican. Any food. Nook and cranny.
Well, I am also a steak fan.
Okay.
So Anton's is my favorite
Anton's
steak place. Yes.
Where's it at?
It's downtown on Main Street.
Okay. Downtown on Main.
Anton's.
Yeah.
The steak place.
It is the steak place. Yes.
And T-bone.
Yeah, I'm a ribeye guy.
Ribeye guy.
Ribeye.
Okay. Nice.
There we go.
How's it done?
Medium.
Excellent.
Best
Anton, ribeye, medium. Noted.
Yes.
Okay. Any others?
That's all that comes to mind right now.
KC event.
Alrighty.
Favorite event? Kansas City event throughout the whole year? You do something? Any one of them sticks out?
Well, I'm hoping that Chiefs in the Super Bowl is an annual event.
Hey,
Yeah, that's an
man.
upcoming one. Hey, the parade coming
I
up.
would take that, of course. Right?
Definitely.
We're all bleeding red right now.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
I would say Restaurant Week, but we failed to make it out on Restaurant Week this year.
Restaurant Week's a thing. This is new to me.
Yeah, it was actually last week.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
We missed it too.
We sure did. So what happens during Restaurant Week for all us uneducated
They have specials going on,
all week
discounts. Yeah.
Oh, that's
the whole
crazy.
week.
as a foodie?
Yeah, I didn't know
Dang,
that.
I feel like I've not doing us a service. I've missed out on an opportunity. Wow, that's fantastic. Restaurant Week is every year
Around this time frame.
Around this time frame, middle of July.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, noted.
I should have taken advantage of that one.
I'm sorry,
it July?
January.
Yeah, it's
January.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wrong J.
It's awfully cold.
But
in July.
we're gonna
Yeah,
we're
it
gonna
is.
research that. We're gonna research Restaurant Week. We
we are.
got some links coming to you. Fantastic. So that's absolutely
I'll
all
make
right.
sure to drop them down below for you.
How do people get a hold of you? Anybody would be investors looking for some lending that want to talk? Anybody that has a house that wants you to take it from KC Property Guys and give it to old Rex? What how do they contact you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I've got kcinvestorfunding.com, my website.
Perfect.
My phone number 816-888-3692.
There we go. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good chat. Ready to always good. Great to talk shop.
For sure.
Fantastic. Love to have you back again.
I would do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us this week. Luke, you want to wind us down?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today, and we'll catch you on the next episode. You guys have a great day.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Kansas City Real Estate Industry Leaders Show. Please support all things local to Kansas City. And hey, be sure to subscribe and share our podcast on Facebook and LinkedIn. This has been a KC Property Guys production. KCPropertyGuys.com.